My name is Naomi Chira, and I'm a program manager with the Creative Economy Practice, and I'm based out of the Nairobi office. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fashionomics Africa Accelerator online program. Today, our topic will be fashion ecosystems and trends in Africa. Please note that translations are available in English, French, Arabic, and Portuguese. Look at the bottom of your screen to select your language. Today's session will run for 1 hour, 30 minutes, and we will cover an overview of the Fashionomics Africa Accelerator Program, an overview of the fashion and creative ecosystem, and finally, trends in the African fashion sector. Before we start, allow me to go through some ground rules with you. Firstly, switch on your camera if you can. Use the chat box to ask questions. Raise your hand if you want to say something. What we discuss here stays here. Kindly mute your microphone unless you want to speak. Participate actively. Give space to others to participate. And finally, we request that you ensure that your Zoom name matches the name that you used for the registration of the program. Now that we are done with ground rules, I will move on to introduce you to the team that will be taking you through the next 8 weeks of the program, starting with our managing partner, Ojoma Ochai, who's based out of our Lagos office, Yandile Nuku, a regional startup manager with CC Hub based out of Gaborone, Botswana office, and Omolabake Olagunju, a program associate with the Creative Economy Practice based out of the Lagos office. Moving on to the program overview, the Accelerator program will enable you as participants to refine your businesses and products with the help of the industry experts who will participate in the 8-week-long program. It will also enable you to build sustainable business models, create operational and financial management processes that will set you apart and set you up for success once you graduate from the program. It will also enhance your investment readiness and capacity to attract funding. We will measure progress throughout the program, starting with the baseline assessment, which we will do at the beginning of the program. Then we shall move on to a midline assessment, which we shall conduct between week 4 and 5. And then we will finalize with an endline assessment at the end of week 8. Please note that classes will be twice a week for 8 weeks on Tuesdays and Thursdays, as well as a Founders Day, which will be hosted respectively on the 14th of November and the 16th of December. Kindly look out for communication of the same in your emails and the official WhatsApp channel. Thank you. So going through the program structure, the program will be delivered through 2 cohorts. And for starters, we're going to start off with the general community of 2,000 members who will have access to 2 seminars and all the learning resources. Then there's you, who's the 300 participants who will have access to the live sessions throughout the 8 weeks, which accumulates to 16 sessions, and also the help desk feature. From the 300 participants, we will shortlist 25 participants who we will take through pitch training. And once we've taken them through pitch training, again, we're going to shortlist an additional, we'll shortlist the 25 participants to 12 participants who will have the opportunity to pitch during the demo day. The 12 participants, out of the 12 participants, there'll be 2 winners and an award ceremony where each of the 2 winners will win $20,000 US. The curriculum has been shared with you through email communication. We are not going to go through it here, but we will share it again additionally through different communication channels, as well as the Fashionomics platform, which we will share with you registration details as soon as possible. Now I'll hand it over to Ojoma Ochai to take us through the presentation for the day. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ojoma Ochai. I'm the managing partner of the Creative Economy practice at CC Hub. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about the fashion ecosystem and trends of the fashion ecosystem in Africa. This session is part of the Fashionomics Africa Accelerator, and it will go through this session and various other sessions in the coming weeks based on the information that we've shared with you already. So why is it important to have information about your ecosystem? Because it's important because if you're running a business, you need to understand all of the different activities that are related to that business and how they impact on the business that you're running. In the case of fashion, textiles, apparel, and accessories, which is the sectors that all of you in this program are working in, it is part of a wider set of sectors known as the creative economy or the creative industries, which you may have heard of before. These sectors are sectors that are based on creativity and creative expression. And they all exploit this creativity and cultural expression to create value, whether that value is social value or economic value or cultural value. In terms of this program, we're really focusing on the economic value, hence the focus on the economy and the creative economy. So what sectors are in the creative economy? There's the fashion industry, obviously, but there's other industries like the audiovisual sector, which includes film, television, and broadcasting. There's cultural sites, which includes museums, architectural, archaeological sites. There's creative services, which includes architecture or advertising. There's also design, and many of you in this program will be in design, whether it's fashion design or jewelry design. There's also graphic design, there's interior design. All of those are all part of the creative economy. We also have the new media sectors like video games, software, digitalized creative content like recorded music, like podcasts and so on. There's performing arts like live music, dance, opera, puppetry. We also have publishing and printed media, which includes books, press, and other publications. We also have traditional cultural expressions, arts and craft, for example. So if you're doing accessories based on a local craft practice, for example, then you would be in this sector. There's also festivals, like traditional festivals and celebrations. And then we have visual arts, like photography and sculpture. So all of these are creative economy sectors. Many of them are interrelated, and there are lots of interdependencies between them. And these interdependencies come about by the range of activities that happen. The range of activities are often very varied, but we tend to focus on just creative production. Creative production is the process by which creative outputs like clothes or accessories or toys or films or books are made. And the activities under creative production relate to those creative processes like writing a script or designing a dress or writing a song or making a drawing. They're all the creative activities that result in the creation of a product, a creative product. And many businesses focus on this creative production activities, but that's only one part of the creative economy ecosystem. For creative production activities to happen, there needs to be the supporting physical infrastructure. So in the fashion industry, when you think about the spaces where you're making your clothes or you're making your accessories, or production facilities for film, or rehearsal and performance space for performing arts. All of these are physical infrastructure that determine or have an impact on creative production, and they affect the way that your products are created. So you need to be aware of the supporting physical infrastructure that's present in your city, because it will help you think about partnerships. It will help you think about where to go to produce what you need to produce. If you don't know these things, then it's either you're doing it at a higher cost, or you're doing it not as cost effective or not as efficient. And so it's important you know about the physical infrastructure. There's also supporting technology for the creative production aspect. So it includes platforms to help you find talent. So in film, for example, there are platforms that can help you find actors or cinematographers or designers. I know that in some markets, there are platforms to help you find stylists or makeup people, or different DJs, different types of creative skills. There's a platform called Booking Africa that's to help to find those types of creative talents that can enable the creative production activities. So that type of platform is part of the creative production ecosystem. These are all things you need to be aware of, because they help you strengthen your ability to find information. They help you strengthen your ability to find people to partner with. They help you strengthen your ability to find people to hire to do some of your creative production activity. There are other supporting technologies like software. If you're a pattern cutter, whatever software you're using to design and cut your patterns, whatever hardware you're using, all of those are part of that creative production set of activities. So you need to be aware of what they are, where you can find them, because those affect the functioning of your business. As I said, creative production is just one of the set of activities. There's a second set of activities that are broadly categorized as distribution and consumption. Those set of activities are activities that help you when you've made a product like a dress, or you've made a product like an online platform. How do you get it to the consumers that use it? And that's so important, because you're not running a business if you're not able to create something that people are buying and paying for. So there needs to be a channel through which it goes from your store or from your laptop where you've designed it to the actual user. And there are different activities and infrastructure that's required here. So for physical infrastructure, there is things like retail outlets for fashion. There are festivals or fashion shows where you can showcase your work, where you can sell your work. There are different physical marketplaces like pop-up stores and so on, where you can go and sell your work. All of that is part of the physical infrastructure for distribution. For the other sectors, there are cinemas where you distribute film. There are online platforms where you distribute film or music. And so there's also a whole range of digital infrastructure that enables products and services get to the consumers. Digital infrastructure for fashion and apparel and accessories also includes e-commerce platforms where you can sell your goods through those e-commerce platforms. It also includes different online marketplaces like NFT marketplaces, where all kinds of creatives can use those technologies to reach audiences and sell their work. There's also media infrastructure. So if you've got DSTV or MultiChoice in your country, or other national broadcasters or international broadcasters, these are all broadcast and media infrastructure that enables the distribution of content. There are technology solutions here as well. So for example, if you're using e-commerce, there are technology solutions that help you track your e-commerce revenue. If you're selling across multiple platforms, the software that can help you put all those platforms' revenue in one dashboard. So in one glance, you can see, this is what I'm making from this platform versus that platform. So there are different types of platforms that enable activities happening in distribution and consumption. There are different services as well that are enabling this type of activity. So for example, if you're using e-commerce for your fashion and accessories, You need to think about the logistics services you're using. You need to think about sales and marketing. If you're using social media marketing, you need to think about all of that infrastructure. That's part of your distribution and consumption. There are some activities that are cross-cutting. So education and skills is a strong one. If you are asking people to produce garments for you, they have to have the required skills. If you're asking people to do social media marketing for you, they have to have the required skills. If you're asking somebody to do a distribution strategy for you, they have to have the skills, or you yourself needs to have those skills. So if you're working in a sector, you need to understand who is training people in all the skills that I need for my company, because that information can help you target staff. It can help you target people to partner with. It can help you yourself access opportunities for training and building your own professional capability. These can include universities, polytechnics, or just training programs that are run by different institutions, including training programs like this accelerator program by Fashionomics Africa. So you need to be on top of and aware of education and skills providers for the sectors in which you're working. Their management activities, not everybody who works in the creative industries or creative economy is a creative. There's some people that have management capability, people like artist managers, people like executive producers on films, people like managers of your factory. They're not necessarily creative roles, they're management roles that are about the administration and operation of your business. So you need to be aware of what's happening in that area. Legal and accounting as well. You need to have knowledge and information about how contracting happens in your sector, who's responsible for managing and protecting intellectual property in your sector, in your country. What are the legal requirements relating to setting up a company? All of these things you need to be aware of, and we will cover that in the course of this program. You also need to know intermediaries and networks. Organizations like the Creative Economy Practice in Nigeria, their associations, they're different collectives that work across the continent like we do, or maybe they work in your particular country. Are you aware of them? Are you aware of the services they provide? You need to be aware because they may have opportunities for investment, they may have opportunities for mentoring, for training that you can benefit from. So this is all stuff that you need to be aware of as you run a business. You need to know the public sector activities. What are the regulations that relate to your sector? And these regulations are not always from the Ministry of Culture. Sometimes it might be from the Ministry of Justice as it relates to copyright and intellectual property in some countries. Sometimes it might be related to trade as it relates to exports. So you need to do a lot of research to understand the public context, public sector context for your sector in your country. In the course of this program, we will also have modules on research to help you develop the skills to do that research. We will have modules on governance, so you know how to structure your company in line with what your government and the public sector requires. And you will have various other sessions that will help you further build your knowledge of all of these ecosystem activities that I'm talking about. The final ecosystem player is investors and financiers. And investors and financiers are of different types. They're grant funders, they're banks, they're lenders, like cooperatives. You also have venture capital, people that give you money in exchange for a share of your company. So there are different types of funders. Again, in the course of this program, we will cover that in depth. So this is just a snapshot at a creative economy level of the different types of activity that happen that may have impact on your business, which you need to be aware of. Now, drilling down into fashion, textiles, and accessories specifically, even within that, there's so many different activities that happen. And you need to also be aware of this because they can affect things like your business operations, they can affect your business model, they can affect your supply chain, they can affect the way that your business runs. So you need to be aware. For the fashion sector, a lot of the things that are produced begin with the chemical fiber industry, which is the industry that results in the making of the fabric if you're making clothes. So if you're using cotton, for example, in your clothes, you need to at least know at a basic level, where does the cotton come from? Even if you're going to a market in your city to buy it, where is it imported from? Where is it produced in the country that it is imported from? Why is this important to know? If, for example, you're importing, the cotton that you're using is imported from a particular country that's facing a drought, and you know from the news that there has been no rainfall and all the crops in that country have failed, you know, for example, that means that the source of your cotton has been affected. So if you're following that information and you're aware of where things that you're using are coming from, it helps you make a decision. Once you hear in the news, oh, there's a flood in this country, or there's a drought that will affect the cotton crop, you know, oh, this might affect my business because that's where my fabric supply is coming from, which then helps you quickly make a decision even before it runs out in the markets. Because you're tracking, you can quickly go and stock up, or you can decide to switch to a different material, or you decide to switch to a different provider. That is why it is so important to know where your inputs are coming from. You also should know the service providers. We've talked about the service providers like digital marketing, like legal, like accounting. Who are the people providing these services, either specifically for fashion or more generally for SMEs, small and medium enterprises in your city, because that information can help you with developing partnerships, with outsourcing some of your work as you require. So you also need to be aware of the service providers. You need to be aware of the application of the products that you're creating. So for example, if you're making fabric, if you're into textile design, if you know about the application of textiles in fashion, as well as in transport, in construction, in agriculture, and so on, it can help you develop multiple revenue sources for that work that you're creating. And so it's important that you understand these applications so that the business model that you're building can be stronger. You need to understand retail. You need to understand the different uses that your products can be put to, so that you can sell to all of the possible customers that you can have. And then finally, you need to be aware of disposal and recycling. The fashion industry and the fashion ecosystem is one of the greatest polluters of our planet, in terms of the waste that's generated, in terms of the production processes. So increasingly, businesses need to be sustainable and develop strong recycling, disposal, awareness, so that one, you can create value even from that aspect of things. So for example, if you're a dressmaker and you say people can return their last season's clothes for a discount on the new season's clothes so that you can responsibly recycle, that's one example of ways that you can add value in that regard. Or you can use recycled products to upcycle and create additional value. But that's certainly an important aspect that you need to also consider. The resources that you see on the screen are resources that you can click on in the presentation to take you to the sites that give you an overview of the global fashion ecosystem, global fashion industry statistics, African fashion statistics, as well as information on what's happening in the fashion industry in Africa. So those resources are available for you to use. The summary of this session is you need to be aware of your ecosystem. You need to be aware of the different activities in other sectors or other places that affect the business that you're running. And that is what will help you to stay ahead of the trends so that you can keep proactively making decisions that enable your business to thrive and to grow. Thank you very much for listening. We look forward to seeing you in future sessions of this program.